Take a moment, look around your room, notice the details, the furniture, the gadgets, the little things on your desk or shelves. Every corner of our homes is filled with objects that make our lives easier, more comfortable, and more colorful. What do you see? If you look closely, you'll realize that a surprising number of these items are made of plastic. From the remote control on your table to the lamp by your bed, plastic is everywhere, quietly shaping our daily routines. Maybe your chair is molded from sturdy plastic, your phone case is a bright flexible shell, or your water bottle is lightweight and reusable. Plastic is so common that we often don't even notice it. It's woven into the fabric of our everyday lives, present in both the things we use once and throw away, and the things we keep for years. We use plastic for so many things every day, sometimes without even thinking about it. From the moment we wake up and brush our teeth with a plastic toothbrush, to the time we set our alarm on a plastic-encased clock, plastic is always there. It's in our children's toys, in the synthetic fibers of our clothes, and even in the dashboards and seats of our cars. Plastic is in packaging, kitchen utensils, and even in the devices we use to connect with the world. Why is plastic so common? The answer lies in its unique qualities. Plastic is strong, yet incredibly light. It can be bent, stretched, or molded into almost any shape you can imagine. This flexibility makes it perfect for creating everything from tiny buttons to massive storage bins. Because of these qualities, plastic has become an essential part of modern life. It's affordable, versatile, and can be produced in huge quantities. That's why it's found in nearly every aspect of our daily routines, from the food we eat to the technology we use. But have you ever stopped to wonder where all this plastic actually comes from? How did it become such a big part of our world? What is the story behind the plastic objects we use every day? How does plastic get from deep underground, hidden away for millions of years, to your hands, your home, and your life? The journey is more complex and fascinating than you might think. The journey of plastic is long and surprising. It starts with raw materials buried deep beneath the Earth's surface, travels through high-tech factories, and ends up as the everyday objects we rely on. In this essay, we will follow plastic's epic journey, from its origins as ancient organic matter to its transformation into the useful, colorful, and sometimes disposable things that fill our lives. We will start deep in the ground, where oil is extracted, and trace the incredible process that turns this raw material into the plastic products we use every day. By understanding this journey, we can better appreciate the role plastic plays in our world, and the impact it has on our lives and our planet. The story of plastic begins in a place you might not expect, deep beneath the surface of the Earth, where the world is dark, silent, and untouched by sunlight. Here, far below our feet, the journey of plastic starts long before it ever takes shape in our daily lives. It all starts with a substance called crude oil. This thick, sticky liquid is the foundation for many things we use every day, including plastic. Crude oil is a dense, dark liquid that is trapped in rocks deep underground. It's not easy to reach, and it's even harder to imagine that something so vital to modern life comes from such a hidden place. The formation of crude oil is a process that takes millions of years. It begins with the remains of ancient plants and animals that once lived in prehistoric oceans and swamps. Over time, these remains were buried under layers of mud and rock, where heat and pressure slowly transformed them into oil. But crude oil isn't just a single substance. It's actually a complex mixture made up of many different chemicals, mostly hydrocarbons. These are molecules built from hydrogen and carbon atoms, and they come in many shapes and sizes. Hydrocarbons are the building blocks of crude oil. Scientists study these molecules to understand how to turn oil into useful products like fuels, lubricants, and of course, plastic. Crude oil is incredibly valuable because it can be transformed into so many different things. From gasoline for cars to medicines, cosmetics, and even the plastic in your water bottle, crude oil is at the heart of modern industry. But before any of this can happen, people must first find the oil. This is no easy task. Geologists and explorers travel to remote deserts, dense forests, and even out into the ocean, searching for places where oil is hidden deep below the surface. Oil can be found in many places, buried beneath vast deserts, trapped under the ocean floor, or hidden beneath layers of rock in faraway lands. Each location presents its own challenges and requires special techniques to reach the oil. To find these hidden reserves, scientists use advanced technology. They send sound waves deep into the earth and study how they bounce back, creating maps that reveal where oil might be trapped. Once a promising spot is found, teams of workers move in to prepare the site. They set up massive drilling rigs and bring in heavy machinery, ready to begin the challenging process of extracting oil from the ground. With everything in place, the journey of plastic truly begins. The oil is carefully pumped out of the earth, starting its transformation from ancient organic matter to the modern materials that shape our world. Getting oil out of the ground is not easy. People use big machines called drilling rigs. These rigs drill deep holes through rocks and soil. Sometimes they go many kilometers down to reach the oil. The drilling rig works like a giant, powerful drill. It slowly turns and pushes a metal pipe into the ground. When the drill reaches the oil, the pressure underground helps push the oil up through the pipe. As the oil comes out, it is thick and dirty. It also has gas and water mixed in. Workers collect this mixture in large tanks. They use big pumps to move the oil to factories called refineries. Bringing oil to the surface is just the first step. The next step is turning this crude oil into useful things that can become plastic. Once the oil reaches the refinery, the real transformation begins. A refinery is like a giant kitchen where oil is separated and cleaned. The goal is to break oil into different parts. First, the oil is heated in a big tower called a distillation column. The heat makes the oil boil and turn into vapor. As the vapor rises up the tower, it cools down at different levels. This separates the oil into parts called fractions. Some fractions become fuel for cars or planes, but some parts, called naphtha, are used to make plastic. The naphtha is collected and sent to another part of the factory. Now, the naphtha must be changed again. It will become the small building blocks for making plastic. This is where chemistry does its magic. The naphtha from the refinery is broken down into even smaller molecules called monomers. These are the basic building blocks for plastic. The most common monomers are ethylene and propylene. They are made by heating naphtha at very high temperatures. This process is called cracking. The heat breaks the big molecules into small, simple ones. Now comes a special step called polymerization. In this step, the small monomers join together, like links in a chain. The long chains are called polymers. These polymers are what make plastic strong and flexible. At the end, the plastic is still not ready to use. It comes out as small pellets or powder, waiting for the next step, shaping. After plastic waste is collected, cleaned, and processed, it's transformed into small, uniform pieces called plastic pellets. These tiny pellets are the building blocks for almost every plastic product you see around you. But how do these simple pellets become the everyday items we use? The next step is turning these plastic pellets into things we can use. And this is where the magic of manufacturing begins. This transformation happens inside large, bustling factories filled with powerful machines. These machines are designed to handle huge quantities of plastic pellets, working around the clock to keep up with the world's demand for plastic products. The process is highly automated, with conveyor belts, robotic arms, and precise controls ensuring everything runs smoothly and efficiently. There are many ways to shape plastic, but one of the most common and versatile methods is called injection molding. This technique is used to make everything from bottle caps and toys to car parts and kitchen containers. It's popular because it can create complex shapes quickly and with very little waste. In injection molding, the journey starts when the plastic pellets are loaded into a special machine. The pellets are poured into a hopper, which feeds them into the heart of the machine. Inside, the machine heats the pellets to very high temperatures, causing them to melt and become a thick, gooey liquid. This molten plastic is carefully monitored to make sure it's just the right consistency for shaping. Once the plastic is melted, it's injected under high pressure into a mold. The mold is a hollow metal form that's been designed to match the exact shape of the final product. Think of the mold as a detailed, three-dimensional cookie cutter. It can be shaped like a bottle, a toy, a phone case, or almost anything you can imagine. The molten plastic fills every corner of the mold, capturing even the smallest details. After the mold is filled, the plastic needs to cool down. As it cools, it hardens and takes on the exact shape of the mold. Cooling can happen in just a few seconds for small items, or take longer for larger, thicker products. When the plastic is solid, the mold opens up, and the brand new plastic item pops out. Sometimes, robotic arms help remove the item and place it on a conveyor belt for the next step. This process is incredibly fast and efficient. Modern factories can produce thousands or even millions of identical plastic items every single day, keeping up with the huge demand for plastic products worldwide. But injection molding isn't the only way to shape plastic. Other machines use different methods like blow molding, where air is blown into melted plastic to form hollow objects like bottles. There's also thermoforming, where sheets of plastic are heated and pressed into molds to make things like trays, packaging, and containers. No matter which method is used, shaping is a key part of the journey from raw plastic pellets to finished products. It's a fascinating process that combines science, engineering, and creativity to make the plastic items we rely on every day. After shaping, the plastic items are still very hot. They must be cooled down before they can be used. Some factories use water baths, while others use cool air. Cooling makes the plastic strong and keeps its shape. Once cool, plastic items may still have extra bits called flash. Workers or robots trim off these extra pieces to make the item smooth and neat. This is called finishing. The next step is checking each item for quality. Workers look for cracks, holes, or other problems. Only the best products move to the next step. Broken or bad ones are recycled or melted down to try again. This careful checking makes sure that the plastic you use is safe and looks good. Now the items are almost ready for the world. Plastic items can be plain, but most of the time, we want them to look nice. Factories add colors, logos, and designs in many ways. They can mix color into the plastic itself or paint it on the outside. Logos and writing are printed using special machines. Some items are given a shiny surface or special texture. This makes the product look and feel better. Now the finished products are packed. Workers put them in boxes or wrap them in plastic film. The boxes are loaded onto trucks, trains, or ships. These products travel all over the world. Soon they arrive in stores, ready for you to buy and use. Plastic is amazing. It has helped make life easier and safer. Plastic is light, strong, and cheap. It keeps food fresh, helps doctors save lives, and lets us build many useful things. But plastic also causes problems. Many plastic items are used once and then thrown away. Some end up in rivers or the ocean. They can hurt animals and pollute our planet for hundreds of years. Recycling is one way to help. When we recycle, old plastic is melted down and made into new things. Scientists are also working on better materials that break down faster. We all have a part to play. We can use less plastic, recycle more, and help keep our world clean. Now you know the epic journey of plastic. It begins deep underground as oil. It travels through refineries, factories, and many machines. It is shaped, finished, decorated, and sent all over the world. Finally, it ends up in your hands. Plastic is useful, but it also creates big problems. What do you think? Can we use less plastic? How can we recycle better? What new materials could we use instead? Look around again. Which things could you use for longer? Which could you recycle or replace? Your choices can make a difference. The story of plastic is not over. It continues with each choice you make every day.